Welcome back to the Keegan and Company podcast. For those who are new to the show, my name is Keegan Hipgrave. And guys, if you haven't subscribed already, can I get you to jump over, give us a little like and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube. It lets us grow the audience, grow the production, and have some amazing guests like I have on today. In this episode, I'm joined by a jack of all trades, triple coder for Rugby Sevens, AFLW, and NRLW. Brooke Walker, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Keegs. How are you? That was a great intro, by the way. The way you just did that, damn. He's not new here. I don't get nervous with the piece of cameras anymore, but like when I've got a really good friend like with me or next to me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to stuff it up, or they just take the piss out of me. Yeah. Nah, you did well. Well done.
How's the morning been? What's been happening?
Yeah, the morning's been good. I thought you
were going to train this morning.
I was supposed to.
You told me you were going to train this morning.
I've been a bit sick, right? We're 3 weeks into the school year. I'm a teacher on the side. So, I just had to bang that sleep, I reckon, and then go for a run Savo after our fan day. So, yeah.
Beautiful. What does a fan day look like? What's happening today?
So today we've got the boys, the Essendon male players are having an open training session. Yeah. And then it's an open day because fans can come and hang out, pack a picnic, park up on the hill, watch a bit of training, and then we all sort of just go around and meet the fans and whatnot. Beautiful. So just, building those relationships for the club. So
cool. And just for context, we're going to go into it later, but you've played all three codes. Like you've played Rugby Sevens, you played AFLW, NRLW, but you're playing AFLW now for the Essendon Bombers, which is really cool. And I'm sure we're going to dive into it. But I'm guessing I'm trying to think of where to start this conversation because it is a whole story. I'm guessing like growing up, like probably a great start is like where did you grow up and where did the love of sport kind of kick off from?
Yep. So I grew up in South Auckland in New Zealand, and I grew up playing badminton with my dad. Like when I was 6, we went and played other parents and kids and doubles and stuff like that. Yeah, wild. I know, wild. And then, I had a very active childhood. Obviously being a Kiwi, like All Blacks, massive. Even the rugby league scene there, massive. I just like was immersed into rugby as soon as I knew what it was. Yeah. And like used to go watch my brother play. I wasn't old enough to play, or there were no leagues for females at the time. But I used to run up and down the sideline in my gumboots, being like, "I want to play. When do I get to play?" So that's where I grew up. That's where my love of sport started. Just mirroring my brother and sister, and playing badminton doubles with my dad. Yeah. So yeah.
But when did I guess like rugby league, because your family's a rugby league background, like your dad like loves playing rugby league. Like where did the sort of AFL rugby league come into the mix?
Yeah, random that is. Yeah. AFL, I didn't know what the sport was until I was probably about, I'm going to say 20.
Really?
20.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon. Obviously moved from South Auckland to Christchurch and then made our way to the Gold Coast because Dad just had an awesome opportunity with the mines, like lots of Kiwis do. So they were like, "Yep, let's ship us over to the Gold Coast," and then went to Keegan Park. So bit of rivalry here. I can feel the tension with the PBC boy over there, but it's cool.
For those who are listening and don't know for the context, on the Gold Coast, there's two main rugby league schools. There's Palm Beach Currumbin.
There's number 1 Keegan, and then there's number 2 Palm Beach Currumbin.
Don't you dare. What was the side? What happened in your year? Because in our year, I'm pretty sure Palmy got over Keegan. I don't know what happened.
I'm pretty sure in our year it was like Jari Arrow and
You had a good. Who was in that? Who was in that year? Tamari Martin was in that year.
Yep. Who else was there?
JJ Collins, was he there?
No, not yet. He might have been actually. There was like Guy Hamilton and like
good crew.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild to see like the amount of crew that have like kicked from Keeper. Hey?
Yeah, and PVC. Like, come on, I'll give a bit of credit to PVC.
We're very humble over here. But what did it look like at Keeper? Like, there was any female sport, any rugby league happening then?
Yep. So when I moved from Christchurch to Gold Coast, I was enrolled in like a random public school.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't enjoying it. I was like, got no friends. Like, they're not really into sport. So I actually like enrolled myself into Keeper. I was like 14, 15 maybe. And I jumped online and I enrolled myself into Keeper because I was like, nah, I just love rugby. I love sport. I need to be somewhere where I can just get the most out of me in terms of like being motivated to go to school for sport, but also academically as well. So I enrolled myself into Keeper.
Did you tell your parents?
Oh, afterwards,
but not beforehand.
I was like, Mum, you need to drive me to the school. I've like got to meet everyone because I've enrolled. And she was like, what? You're so rogue. But anyway, it worked out well. Like, well, I don't even know what the initial question was. I'm so sorry.
You were talking about the female sport aspect of Keeper Park.
Yeah. So went there because they had a girls' touch academy. And at the time, like I was like fully into touch. There was no pathway for rugby league, rugby union. So I was just like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like I'll play the closest sport I can to rugby, which was touch. And Keeper Park had a really awesome touch academy. Like in terms of it was within the curriculum. You get about 5 sessions a week to just like do touch and fitness and like analyze. As a subject.
That's so cool.
So I was like, this is so much better than being at a random public school. Like so that's how that's how it started in terms of me understanding where I wanted to go, like professionally within sport. I was like, okay, touch could be the go. Wasn't too sure what that pathway looked like down the future, but I was like, nah, I just love this game, want to do as much as I can. And then towards the back end of my high schooling, maybe like year 11, 12, rugby 7 started coming on the scene, and I was like, okay.
I see you.
I was like, okay, I can have a look at this. And then it shortly got announced that rugby 7s was going to be part of the 2016 Olympics. So I was graduated in 2012. So I was like, damn. I was like, this could be the pathway to professionalism for me as a female in sport.
That's so cool because growing up, like you can only visualize what you see. And I don't know, and tell me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I can't imagine that there was too many pathways for like female sport, right? No. Like there was no NRLW at the time. There was no AFLW at the time. Like the Olympic 7s are just coming into the mix. So did you ever think that you could be a professional athlete growing up? Or was it not an option?
No, it wasn't even on the cards. Like I was at that point when I was growing up, I was just chasing the love of the game. And then professionalism was like an added bonus when I started to work out. Rugby 7's like potentially a pathway for this. And I was just all in. As soon as I realised that, I was like, yep, we're doing this.
And how did those conversations like come about? Because I remember I spoke to Amber, our good friend Amber, before these conversations. I like catching up with friends and family before doing a podcast. And Amber's the best, and she had so many. She is the best, and she had so many fun things to tell to say about you. Some will keep off air.
No.
but she was just like. She was telling me a story, and you can probably clarify me if I'm straight. But it was pretty much just like. It was year 12 when you guys were talking about what you wanted to do after school. And so it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to do, we're going to go to uni, you're going to work. And I was like, I'm not sure if I want to go to uni. And she's like, Brookie, what are you doing? You're like, I'm going to Sydney for the rugby 7s. And she's like, what? I was like, you just dropped that on me? Like, I was like, has there been any conversations? So how did that come about? Like, obviously, like, super humble. You're obviously you're not telling everyone. But how
sorry, girls, I'm out.
How did that come about?
I think, so when I was in my final year of high school, Rugby 7 started kicking off. So there are a few Rugby 7s tournaments. Was able to play for the state, so made the Queensland team. Actually made the Queensland B team for Rugby 7s. So I was like, okay, sweet. Went and played a Rugby 7s tournament at TSS against like New South Wales, like all those other states, and then was fortunate enough to make like the Aussie youth team from that, which was awesome. And then later on, 2013, I think it was, we played in like Youth Olympic Festival, which was hosted in Sydney.
Sick.
So that's what really kickstarted the conversations in terms of professionalism, and I was able to realise like, okay, this is actually achievable. So we won that tournament, and then from there I was able to secure a full-time contract with the Aussie Rugby 7s team, which was just like so wild. I did not think that I'd be able to have sport as a full-time job. Like being a female at that time, it just was so rare, like to be able to be a full-time professional athlete.
And that lets you train full-time? So it obviously lets you like in the gym, like the professionalism, like you probably would have had the like physios and support squad around you,
Yeah, so we had, we might have had a squad of 20 at the time. And full-time based out in Sydney, Narrabeen. We're on like 30K contracts full-time. So it was a bit tough in terms of like living on northern beaches, what rent was, and sort of just, digging into your back pockets, your savings, that sort of stuff. But it was absolutely worth it. Like being able to be a full-time program in terms of like, just learning about how professionalism works, like training 4 or 5 times a week, balancing that with just recovery and having full support staff of all of that was incredible.
What was your biggest takeaway coming from high school into a professional system? Was there anything that stood out to you that you were like, oh, actually, I need to dial in this, or was like, oh, that's actually a really great learning, like in terms of recovery, diet, working hard. Is there anything that stood out to you in that time?
Yeah, probably like prehab, like injury prevention, and then recovery was a massive one because I was young. Like I just bounced back from everything when I was younger. Like I did my first ACL when I was 15 and I did my second one when I was 17.
Really?
Yeah, so I was just like, as soon as I got to Sydney for that full-time program, I was just like, I actually need to look after my body because this is not guaranteed forever. So yeah, just like try to dial in on prehab and like recovery and just was just so exhausted. It was such a shift from like local footy or like from like even like the representative footy in terms of like Queensland and stuff. It was just a massive shift. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Like this ain't easy. Yeah. But it's going to be worth it.
But anything that's hard is worthwhile. Yeah. Like that's the same with anything. I knew you've done three ACLs?
Two.
Just
one
the two?
Each.
One each? Yeah.
Got to keep it even. You know? Like,
now you're flying. But that was when you first kicked off. And so obviously like the injury prevention, like it's obviously kicked on. Like you've got something that you've held on to for most of your career.
Yeah. I've tried to dial in on rehab and recovery and stuff like that. But yeah, I am a little bit like injury prone in that regard. I'm not too sure why, but just like, I've got to. If I want to stay playing like elite level sport, then you've just got to make those sort of sacrifices, which I've been able to learn through experience.
And you learn. You learn, hey, like you and me both, like very injury prone as well. You know what I mean? Like and that prevention piece, like it's so huge and probably something that I didn't even really realize coming into professional sport. Like you see the older guys, like I don't know about you, but when I came into professional sport, I would look at the guys and they would always be in training early. They would always be doing like their banded work, whether it's with their shoulders, their knee. They'd be in the gym out. They'd be the first ones there. And those were the guys who went on and played 150, 200, 300 games. And I was like, and now looking back, I can see the difference very clearly. Like these are the guys and like doing their recovery. They're doing their ice baths, saunas, like eat nutrition, eating good quality food. I was like, those are the guys, and you can see the difference. Those are the guys who go on and kick because they've done all the foundation stuff. 100%. Whereas when I was like 18, 19, I was like, oh, I just want to be the fittest and toughest and strongest guy. I'm just going to lift weights and run. You know?
100%.
But that's just the way it is, and it helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that female, the female piece, like the female athlete piece, is so cool. I think about when you were younger, there was no one really to look up to. And now, have a look at it now. Like you've got, and especially we were talking about it beforehand, like how the AFLW are doing such a good job at leaning into players' personalities and the marketing and the social media aspect of it. Because they're role models. Like you're a role model for so many young crew coming through now. How does that feel? Like that's going to be so cool.
That's wild. It's honestly wild. Like, as you said, growing up, like my idols were people like, I don't even know, like Dan Carter, Union, or like Stacey Jones, like Warriors. And I just had, like you said, I had no female idols to look up to. Like I had no really role models in terms of the sporting space of sports I was interested in myself. And then now you've got these young girls who are like, fuck, that's like Millie Boyle. Like you've got like, all these young
Yourself,
girls.
Manny Press-Paskis, Tiana Penatani.
Tiana Penatani, absolute G.
Who we were talking about last weekend. I was sending photos to you at a Leaders in League conference. Shout out Tiana, she's a legend.
Yeah, she is. Shout out Tiana, miss you. But yeah, like it's crazy to think that young females are growing up now and they actually have like achievable dreams in terms of professional pathways, and they've got idols who are like the same gender so they can understand that they can achieve those dreams as well. Like it's incredible. I'm so glad that it's progressed so quickly in probably the last 10 years. So I'm very, very excited when I'm an old lady. I can't wait to sit down and just reflect on it being like, this is it.
I
This
was,
is cool.
I was the OG. I was one of the OG rugby sevens because you were the first year of it. Like that's so cool. Like I was thinking I was talking to Amber. I was talking to Amber about it. It's like she's like, it's like Brooke is like an OG. I was like, she was one of the first. And like, but look how far it's come in the last 10 years. And imagine what the next 10 years are going to look like.
Yeah,
like it's going to be insane.
That's wild. It's so cool. The trajectory of women's sports and where it's heading now is incredible. And I'm very excited to see like the upwards trajectory keep going. Like it's such an untapped area, and it's fucking exciting.
It's
man.
wild.
Yeah,
you were talking about the contracts were pretty small when it first started out. What were you doing in your spare time? Were you studying? Were you working? What did that look like?
Yeah. So I was studying full time online.
Really?
I was doing my Bachelor of Education when I first jumped into that program, just because I knew I knew this couldn't last forever. Like I need to have another option if this doesn't work out, that sort of stuff. And I had some really awesome teachers at Keeper Park, not Palm Beach, at Keeper Park, who just like they loved their job and like they were sort of like almost role models and that sort of space. And I was just like, I want to be like you guys in terms of like being able to connect to the youth and like being able to educate them to make better choices and that physical activity aspect of it. I was like, that would be pretty cool to fall back on if it doesn't work out. So I completed that while I was in the full-time rugby sevens program. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I know. I look back and now I was like, damn, I think I was built a bit different back then. Like trying to do that now, nah.
Really?
Nah. But
How did you find that balance? Because you're a full-time athlete, you're training at a full-time level and then also balancing a full-time study schedule. How was that?
Yeah, I think I was just quite fortunate that my university offered it online and all the lectures and tutes were recorded or pre-recorded, so I could just jump on whenever I could and just smash it out. So I'd reckon I'd be up for some pretty late nights just catching up on lectures and tutes and stuff like that. But I really relied on lecture slides, just a PDF version of it at the very least.
Was that something that you would encourage young girls doing now? Because like I know with footy, especially in the male sector, that they're, I don't know, like you can go into like a full-time and get paid really well from as like a 17, 18-year-old. So I know a lot of guys who don't study, who don't work, who don't do anything. They're just like, oh, I'm going to be doing this forever.
Yeah.
And then you never know, like the percent that make it is so small. I can kind of see that in the way the women's game's going now, where it's becoming more professional. Girls are obviously some are full-time, some are part-time or full-time, part-time wages. Is that something that you'd recommend to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I reckon like, as you said, it's not going to last forever, so why not just prepare yourself while you have a bit of time too? And you've probably got like support and funding from the PA in order to do that, so it's not as expensive. But also to get your mind off footy as well. Like I think it's such an awesome balance being able to have something else other than it, because I often see people just like sitting in their thoughts and just like almost it's just like affecting their mental health a bit negatively in terms of just being full footy. Like I think it's an awesome balancing act when you get it done in terms of being able to study or having something other than footy, just I don't know, just a bit of perspective.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I know that there's a conversation and a lot of people are thinking, nah, like I only want to have one plan A. Like I don't want to have a plan B because I don't want to take focus away from my plan A. Like if I'm going to be a professional AFL player, AFLW, NRLW rugby, then that's going to be my whole thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I sort of agree with you in the sense of like, nah, like that having something that I'm happy or enjoy away from footy actually helps my footy.
Yeah.
Like when I'm happy off the field, I'm way more likely to have positive success on the field.
Like motivation, like
100%.
drive, all of that just increases.
And did you see that when you were going through it?
Yeah.
Like with your studies and training?
Yeah. I knew I had like another goal to tick off as well. So I was like staying accountable to like education and then also staying accountable to footy. But I don't know. I think I would have just been like overthinking everything if I didn't have study.
Really?
Yeah, on the side I would have just been like, oh, did I train well? Like,
okay.
Did I fuck up? Like, am I going to get selected? It was sort of like almost an out in terms of not being able to sit with those thoughts, but also benefiting as a person in terms of my education and what was next for me. So yeah, I'd absolutely recommend to be doing something. It doesn't have to be full-time study. Like I've got some of the younger girls now who are just in AFLW at Essendon who are like doing one subject a semester. And that's enough. Like, but there's something there that they're continually working at. Like there's another goal that they can start to tick off during footy or after footy, but they've at least started those sort of like that sort of path. Yeah.
I want to roll into the AFLW piece because you know you had your time at rugby sevens, and then how did the AFLW come around? Because you did AFLW before going to the NRLW.
Yeah.
How did that start? How did that kick off?
Yep. So moved to AFLW once my contract at Sevens ended. And at the time, AFLW were sort of looking at cross-coders. So I'm not too sure how it happened. I can't even remember. There was a list manager at Carlton who was particularly interested in rugby sevens players and rugby sevens players who could like kick as well. So they sort of contacted me. They're like, look, like come down, come check it out. And it was really good timing because, yeah, as I said, I just finished up with rugby sevens. And I went down to Melbourne and I saw their facilities and I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like we're out in portables sharing with this Manly Sea Eagles, like to this massive facility, like incredible, like college football style facility. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, this is wild. Yeah. And they sort of just said, look, like you can, well, the way you traditionally get on AFL lists is through the draft. NRL doesn't have a draft, but it's sort of like, yeah, rates you as like your physical attributes, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so there was like there's a way you can get on a list in terms of being a rookie. Yeah. So you don't need to go through the draft or anything like that. Like the club has 2 spots that can offer rookies from other codes and you're just straight on the list. So they offered that to me and I went back to Sydney and I was like, what am I doing? I don't even know this sport. Like,
yeah, really?
Like before I went there, I was like, try to watch clips so like I could be have some idea of what this sport was. Because obviously on the Gold Coast, like league is the main platform of sport there, I would say. Yep. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I agree.
Like the Gold Coast Suns had just maybe started out, so it wasn't that big then. Yeah, so I just was like, why not try something new? Like, why not learn a new game? Like, this sport is obviously successful because Australians love it. Why not put myself in an uncomfortable environment and learn what this game is and just push myself? And it's probably one of the best choices I've ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Big call.
Why? Yeah.
Big call.
Why was it so cool?
Well, I moved to a new city. Got to learn a new game. I just thrive when I'm learning. Like when I'm learning like new things, new strategies, understanding like vision, that sort of stuff. I'm just like, I'm in my zone.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And like, cause I'd grown up with rugby my whole life. I still absolutely love the sport. And league was probably more of my passion rather than rugby sevens, but there was nothing doing with league. So like grew up with rugby. I just like, I'm like, I need something else now. Just got to that point where I'm like, I just need a bit of a change. So I bit the bullet and it paid off. I'm at Essendon now. Yeah. I'm thriving, loving Melbourne. Melbourne, I would say, is home now.
Wild, that's so big call. Wild to think about.
Big call, I know.
You almost got me to move to Melbourne at the end of last year. We were so close. But that's so cool. Like, I remember us having the conversation. I was like, Brookie, I think I'm going to do it. Because
the smile on my face when you said you were coming to Melbourne.
Well, like, they've got a really, University of Melbourne have like one of the best psychology programs like in the world. They're top 1% from what I've been told, and that's like where I've gone down. And you know, fortunately, I got a really great job with the RLPA, Rugby League Players Association on the Gold Coast. So I had to. I got forced to go back to the Gold Coast. Which I love. But like Melbourne's a great spot. I remember. I think I got gaslit because I came to Melbourne and then like I've been coming to Melbourne for a fair bit with work. And I remember coming to Melbourne, it was like the most beautiful days. Like the days were unbelievable. And then I remember I was catching up with you. We went and watched Carlton and Collingwood play, and we're in the sheds with a few of the boys. We got a heap of mates down here. And I was like, I think I could live down here. You know what I mean? Like it's beautiful. It's a hub of sport. Like it's all happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can see you just thriving in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And even like all the girls that you've met, like your little crew at Essendon is sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because who are the girls that you're knocking around with usually?
So like got like Bonnie Too Good, like Maddie Prasparkas, Cody Jarks. There's heaps of them, like all 30 of them. Sorry, 29. I include myself in that. All 29 of them are just absolute awesome humans. And I feel like friends through sport just hit a bit different. Yeah. Don't you reckon?
100%.
Like, I don't know what it is, but like sport friends are just like, they get it. Like they've got the same mentality as you, same interests. It just, I feel like those friendships are very special.
It's like it'll be those friendships where you won't see each other for like a couple months, or you can go away for a couple years and then you see each other and it's like exactly the same. Yeah. I don't know what it is about sport or training with someone every day. I think it's a combination of doing something hard with someone. I think that builds a bond, but then also like reaching for a common goal. Yeah, like in winning a premiership.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sport friends.
We
hit
love.
Different.
Is there, and because obviously, like, I imagine, like, footy's a roller coaster, like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I know that it can be a bit of a roller coaster. Are these the girls, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but are these the girls that you lean on in terms of, like, struggles, or is there family? Like, who do you lean on when shit hits the fan? Yeah.
I think, definitely that little crew I mentioned before at Essendon. But then, as I've grown older, I've been able to understand and sort of express myself a little bit more towards my family or with my family, which has been, it's been an incredible growth of mine in terms of, how I was growing up, like the way I was sort of brought up and stuff like that. So, I've learned to really lean on my closest and then my family, which has been awesome to be able to reflect on that compared to where I was when I was a bit younger.
And that's a new thing. I mean, we've had conversations offline as well, but you just got back from New Zealand.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, it was incredible.
What'd you do?
It was incredible.
Yeah. So you got festivals, you're running around, you're doing the whole thing. I was like, I'm jealous. I was like, get me over there.
It was wild. I was there for 3 weeks. Spent a lot of time with some family and friends, and I feel like because I'm from New Zealand, I just like have a mad connection to the land there, which has been pretty special to understand. Growing up, I don't think I appreciated it as much as what I do now. Yeah. So being able to be there with family, got to go to festival with my 2 older siblings. Ended up babysitting them. Oh, me babysitting them.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that.
I know, but nah, it was just such a special time, and I guess it just made me think of when I'm probably a little bit older, I reckon I'll head back to the motherland and park up somewhere nice in the forest or something like that.
I love that. And like the New Zealand countryside is so beautiful. Are you North Island, South Island?
South Island.
Where's home for you?
Christchurch.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I know.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I went over to New Zealand, South Island a couple of years ago we had a buy for 1 weekend and the club gave us a week off. And I was like, we never get a week off. So I flew into Christchurch, got a little van and just made my way down south.
Drive?
That drive is like, it's so green. Yeah. Everything's so green. Everything's so fresh. I had my skydiving license back then. So I was like skydiving. Like,
who is he?
I was rowing. I don't know. I got the club to pass that through. Anyway, wild, very different conversation for another time. But we did all this stuff, went into Queenstown, and it's such a beautiful area. I can see why you'd want to go back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fucking stunning, man.
But you talked about the connection to your culture and the connection and the conversations that you had with your parents and how I guess it's evolved or you've got closer to it as you grow up. Yeah. What was it like growing up? Like what was it like having those conversations? Could you have conversations? Like what did that dynamic look like?
So growing up in a Māori family, I don't know what it is, but it's sort of like we don't really express ourselves too much because we want to uphold almost the perception of being strong and being able to get through whatever without burdening anyone else. So my dad, when he was younger, he bounced around foster homes with his siblings. So I guess he just didn't have any adult figures who he could sort of rely on. So he tended to internalize everything. And as a young kid, I was able to understand that okay, Dad doesn't really express his emotions that well. just because of what he's been through and trying to be strong and within our Māori culture and our Māori family, you just had this sort of aspect of just hardening up and being sort of tough.
Get on with it. Like you want to be strong without burdening others, maybe, I imagine. Yeah,
exactly. So, as I was growing up, I sort of unintentionally probably caught those sort of those habits in terms of like if I was going through something, it would just be like, harden up, Brooke, like get through it. Don't burden anyone. You got this. Like you're strong. That sort of vibe. And that probably carried with me in my career when I was sort of like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
That sort of era when I was going through like maybe like non-selection or going through like injury, and I just wasn't able to like probably feel vulnerable enough to open up to my friends and families. I sort of just wanted to uphold the values of being a strong Māori woman, like what I've learned through my family and that sort of vibe. So that was now as I said before, I'm able to like express myself a bit more. And my dad, he's like the sweetest.
How's your old boy now?
He's just like, he's the most emotional man now.
Is he really?
I know, he's done a full 360. I think he's a bit like me, and he's been able to reflect on how he was brought up within like our Māori family and being strong and not burdening anyone. And it was actually not too long ago when my dad sent me some of his like notes from when he was bouncing around in foster cares, like written notes from like the child psychologist at the time, and like
he still has them.
He still has them. And just like notes about like the people who were running sort of the foster homes and that sort of stuff. So he actually opened up to me not too long ago, being like, I just want you to understand, like, this is why I'm the way I was when I was a young father, because like I've been through this. And he showed me that sort of stuff, and he really expressed himself.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really awesome to see that sort of shift in him, because he's able to understand what he's been through and what it means. And like, he's like, I just wish I could change it when I was back then to express myself a bit more. But like, I'm so proud of like how he's like developed that and understood that over the time. Like, it's pretty incredible. And I think that's what needs to happen a bit more in New Zealand, probably with our culture. Because Māori people are 3 times more likely to take their own lives compared to non-Māori people.
Really? So
it's like it's a really alarming statistic, I guess, in that regard. And like, I've been through a couple. I've had 2 cousins who have taken their life, like male cousins, in that age group of like 11 to 25. So it's really unfortunate the way probably we've grown up in terms of not being able to express ourselves as Māori people, because we want to be perceived as strong and we want to have that mentality of not burdening anyone. But it's a really alarming and sad statistic. And I think about it quite often, just how like our family's been through, like we've lost two cousins because of that. So I think that almost was like a realization of that. We need to start expressing ourselves within our immediate family and the rest of our family as well, just like being open to being vulnerable, because at the end of the day, like, you should be able to confide in the closest ones to you, regardless of feeling like you're burdening anyone and that sort of stuff. So
Brookie, thanks so much for sharing that. That's that's so impressive, and it's so nice to hear that, and a full learning piece as well, because to be honest, I didn't know that. Like I grew up in Narang, where Amber's from, and heavily Polynesian based as well. And I guess looking back on it now, I can kind of see that. Yeah, I can kind of see the get on with it mentality, the not talk about it mentality. And it's so nice and so refreshing to hear that you and your dad are now having those conversations all those years later. And for you, I guess, to come on a long form podcast like this and talk about what it was like for you growing up and what it's going to be like going forward. Like, it's so cool. Like,
thank you.
Like, honestly, I got so much love and respect for you for doing that. And also, like, I guess, like the conversation of, it's actually not a weakness talking about what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. Like, if anything, it brings you closer together. Like, how's the relationship with you and your dad now?
Oh, he's the fucking man. He's the man.
Yeah.
Like, just being able to, like, he was a young father, like, bounced through foster homes. Like, some of the notes were like, he's got no hope. Like, he's going to end up in the system, that sort of stuff. So being able to sit and reflect on what he's done for us, wild. Wow. Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, Brooke, you're right.
Yeah.
Do you want 5?
No, we're good. We're good.
No, it is really cool. What are some of the takeaways that I guess you're going to take into your family life and your friend life? Like, what is that going to look like?
Yeah. Probably just knowing that, like, anyone around me doesn't have to always be strong. Like, you can be vulnerable. I can be vulnerable. Like, we can have hard conversations. Like, just being able to be open with how you're feeling, I think, is what I would love to take into my future family and within my friend group, just making people feel comfortable enough to have those sorts of conversations. Like, because it's just, it's I don't know, yeah.
Do you think it's a learnt skill? Do you reckon? I think so. I think it is. Like, and I'd like to hear your opinion, but like growing up when I was 17, I couldn't talk to anyone. Yeah. Like, I lost one of my really good friends to suicide as well and suppressed it, like didn't go to the funeral. Yeah. Didn't speak to his mum for like 8 years. Yeah. Like, only just connected with her.
It was like too tough to deal with.
Yeah, I was 17. I didn't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
I honestly had no idea, and I put it in a box. I spoke to mum and dad earlier this year about it because obviously I was talking about the story with Keegan and Company starting and going on other people's podcasts, and they're like, well, why'd you get into mental health? And I was like, well, I lost one of my really good friends to suicide. I didn't want to lose any more. Yeah. And even talking to mum about it, she's like, I didn't want to talk to you because I didn't want to make you upset.
Yeah. Knowing that you were like
knowing that,
going through that.
But in reality, I would have loved to speak about them. Yeah. And even, we've had some really great conversations with, people and mates over the years, even like starting the podcast. It's like talking about your cousins who you've lost, like, and I guess like celebrating their name and not forgetting their name. Yeah. Like when we lost Regan, I spoke about him for the first time. I think it was like mid last year. Yeah. And it was the first time I spoke about it publicly. Yeah. And I didn't know how to navigate the conversation. I got a bit upset and because I just hadn't done it before. And then his mum rang me and was just like, his mum messaged me and was just like, and I hadn't spoken to her in 8 years, and was like, thank you so much for like keeping Regan's story alive. And I was like, fuck, that's so, like, I didn't even think about that. And then got on the phone and started talking to her. I was like, sorry, do you mind if I call you? And she's like, yeah, of course. And this first time in 8 years properly. And she's just like, the best thing, like the biggest concern was that we would lose like Regan's name and we'd forget about them. Yeah. And she's like, don't you ever stop telling like that story. Don't ever like stop talking about it. Yeah. And it's so cool to see you come on. And I remember when we were talking the last couple of days and you're like, I'd love to talk about the Māori piece and how I guess it can be a bit of a pressure piece for young male and females going through, like, and talking about it's huge. Yeah. Like, it would help so much.
Yeah, yeah. So, I hope that, like, there's some young Māori athletes out there who are like, that's what my family's like, and just be able to understand that it's actually just okay to just not have to be strong all the time. Like, it's okay to just open up to mum and dad or your siblings. Like, it's actually okay to do that instead of feeling like you've got to uphold that perception of being strong and tough and hardening up. Like, it's all right to just sit down and just like have a cry. 100%. Like, it's all good.
Yeah. Like, what would you say to those family members who I guess like don't feel like they could speak to their mum and dad, or their family members, they might still be in that old school mentality? Like, is there any advice that you'd give to them? Yeah,
I would just say, like, your family loves you more than anything. And because of that, you should be able to be vulnerable with them and feel comfortable no matter what you're going through, to just be able to sit and have a chat, have a couple with mum, like kick the footy with dad, like being like, Dad, like, I'm struggling. Yeah. Like, if I put myself in that position as a parent, like, there'd be nothing more than I would want than my kid to be able to be open with me. So hopefully hopefully that starts to shift a little bit more in our culture anyway, and within our family, so that we can just all support each other and just get through all the tough times, but together.
It's so nice. And again, talking to Amber, and I was like, what are some couple fun things about Brookie? And she's just like, the thing about Brookie is that she's got so much love for her friends and family.
Yeah.
She's like, it's like, Brooke's a busy girl. Like she's a professional, she's a professional athlete. She's a full-time teacher, not only a teacher, but a sport coordinator at a school. Like, and we were talking about this before, but it's like, the thing about Brookie is that she's still got time to pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
I imagine like you do a lot of your calls in the car, like going to like, she's like, Brookie will always call her mum, like always call her friends. But like the car's a great time to have these chats.
Such a great time for the mental health car rides, I reckon.
100%.
Like get on the phone. Like I was actually talking to Amber last week where we just yarned for like half hour on the way home. Like such a great time to just be able to connect. Like through the busyness of life. Like even you, like we play a bit of phone tag, but I'll always catch you 3:30 while I'm driving home. I'm like, yes, let's go, Keegan.
I'll call you at like 12 o'clock in the midday. I'm like, Brookie's working. I was
sorry,
like,
I'm in class. I can't answer.
But we always make it work. But I don't know. I think the car ride conversations are a great piece because like, what else are you doing?
I know. Such a great time.
I was I was having this conversation with, I think, Cooper Chapman. He's a former professional surfer. He runs a mental health workshops called Good Human Factory, and it's really cool. And we were talking about conversations in saunas. Like we did a sauna the other day, and it was like same thing. Like it's wild how deep of a conversation you can go with someone when you're in a sauna. Like
really?
I don't know what it is. I think it's
like do you go deeper than normal in a sauna? I
don't know. It's called like a truth box. It's like a truth box. It's like, say if you were in there, and it could be random. It's like you'll just be in there. Hey, how you going? And then you start. I don't know if it's like because you're hot and like your heart's elevated, and maybe you're working hard like with this other random person, or it could be a friend, it could be anyone. And I don't know, I just feel like it just opens up. Nico's the same. Nico talks about the truth box.
I need to do this.
Go get a sauna.
I need to get into a truth box, I reckon.
If there's like any sauna sponsors that want to come on and help Brookie and I. Like,
please. We'll I want to learn about the truth box.
Yeah,
what?
I don't know. Like I said.
Maybe because you like both battling a little bit together, so then it's like, okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But it's like anything hard. It's like you training with the girls, like, and that forms like a closer relationship. I remember Kalen Ponga, I had him on mid last year, and he was talking about like the vulnerability piece, like talking to his mates. And what they did was they at the start, I think, every Monday they would have like, they call it like the Triple H. Okay. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's like hero, who your hero was, your hardship, and there's another H, but I can't remember. But it was pretty much like, who you look up to. It could be a dad, could be a role model, but also a hardship. And he said, Kalen was like, it's so cool to, I guess, know a little bit more about players, things that you wouldn't have otherwise known before. And it actually allows them to be closer together and then and then look at the success that they had at the end of last year.
Absolutely.
You know? So it's like, it not only, brings you closer together, but like that's going to generate good results on the field.
Exactly. And just being able to understand, like have a bit of empathy for one another based on what's happened in their life, and just like having that extra time to be able to build those relationships as well, because you know of that empathy or you know of their struggles. Huge. And like every team, like the closer you are off the field, the better the results are going to be on the field.
100%.
I reckon I've absolutely nailed that. That's awesome. might steal that one. Thanks, KP. Gonna steal that one.
And hey, take it back to Clubland.
Yeah, 100%.
It'd be a beautiful thing. 100%. There's another H in there, but I just can't remember what it was.
We'll figure out what it is.
We'll go. He talked about it. There's a clip there. But Brookie, like going forward, what are you looking forward to? Like you've obviously got the season coming up. Like what's exciting coming up for you? On or off the field?
All right, we'll start with on the field. Going forward, I reckon last year was our second year in the AFLW competition, so we got brought in quite late, and we ended up making finals for the first time, which is pretty incredible considering we're on our second year of the competition. So I reckon going forward, hopefully this year we're able to make a deeper run into finals, like potentially like grand final would be pretty nice. So like
put it out there.
Yeah. But
we're going to clip this clip for when you're in the grand final at the end of this year. Touch wood.
That would be mad. So So yeah, hopefully just making a deep run into the finals and just like continuing to grow and develop as a group. Like it's a young group. I'm a mature age now, so also wild, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, just being able to I feel like I've got like this role and responsibility in AFL or in sport now where I'm like a little bit older. So just making sure like the younger ones are okay and they feel supported and they feel heard and that sort of stuff is probably like wild to transition into that role now, considering like I've always been like the younger one on the list, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that aspect of it and probably just like growing my leadership in terms of that and being able to share my experiences through my sports, including badminton.
You bringing that into the AFLW?
Let's go. So yeah, that's probably what's happening on field, and then off field. I'm at a school out west called the Grange Peter 12 College. We've got a sports academy and lots of our students are Pacifica, so either like Māori or Samoan, Tongan. We've got really strong like rugby academy, union league. So I'm able to still be involved within that sport, which I love, which has been awesome. And I think I'll just like continue like coaching the rugby, especially the girls program, and then just continue like developing as a leader at that school too. So I've got lots of little goals that I want to keep striving for, which keeps me on my toes.
My favorite thing that I've got out of this conversation is that like you're always learning.
Yeah.
That's so
like learning.
Oh my God. It's but for like doing it forever. Like I remember having I've had conversations with guys who are double my age, like 50, 60, and they're like, you would think that it's like, oh, nah, like I'm ready to settle down. Like I'm trying to like take the foot off the accelerator a little bit. Like, nah. Like I've got another 10, 20, 30 years of learning left. Like, and like not just in sport, but also in like business, in life, in relationships. Like that learning piece is so cool. And then like when you were talking about rugby going into AFLW, you're like, I just want to learn. Like, I want to learn this. But I was like, that's so cool.
Oh, it's... Oh.
What is it about it though? Like I think because I don't know, it's not everyone has that in them. Like I don't know, what is it for you? Like
I don't know. Me and my relationship with learning, wild. I don't know why. I just like I just feel like this is gonna sound cliche, but like knowledge is power. So being able to learn as much as you can is just gonna impact you positively in life. And I've always had that mentality. I think I've just had like some really awesome teachers throughout my life who have been able to instill that in me, and I've kept with it, and I've been able to like reap the rewards of it as well in terms of like finishing my bachelor, being a teacher, sport, all that sort of stuff.
But then like you've like finished your bachelor, you know, you go on and you've played 3 different. We didn't even touch on like playing NRLW as well, but like you've done all 3 codes, you've done your bachelors, you're constantly learning. Now you're talking about learning more about leadership, and all that's come to the point now where you can pass that on to the younger crew coming through.
I know. And that's what I'm most looking forward to, just like being, like we said before, like a awesome role model for these younger kids coming through and being able to sort of support them and shape their journey. I think it just like, I don't know what it is, but it just hits different being able to have a hand in someone else's journey instead of like worried about your own. I feel like you just get a bit more out of being able to help people on their way and help shape them. Like that's just like something I've always loved to do, and I think that's why I sort of become a teacher as well.
Well, and you probably look back to like when you were younger and all the people that helped you growing up, right? And it's like pay it forward.
Exactly.
Brookie, is there anything that we missed, or is there anything that you'd like to touch on before we wrap things up?
48 minutes of absolute goodness.
48 minutes of absolute gold. But no, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on before rolling out?
Nah, I reckon this has been incredible, Keeks. Like you're doing such an awesome job with what you've started and the athletes you've been able to talk to and the awareness you're spreading, like particularly with mental health. Like you've done an incredible job, and I'm so thankful that you've had me on.
Oh, Brookie, I got goosebumps. That's very kind. No, I'm very pumped to have you on. Like when I thought about doing the podcast, I thought about which were like, I guess like my favorite athletes that I'd love to have on in every state, like Melbourne, Queensland, you know, like Gold Coast and Brisbane, everywhere around Australia. And you were one of the top ones in Melbourne. Yeah, this one right here.
I'm a favourite. Let's go. All of your famous friends and I'm a favourite. Stop that.
No, I was like, but like, because you're only like so like decorated in your own sport, but you're one of the fucking best people. You know what I mean? Like, and so I am very grateful to have you on, and like for you to come on and like tell your own story. So I guess like be a little bit vulnerable and talk about, you know, what it was like growing up, a couple of tears as well, which is, it's just so great. So no, I've got a lot of love and respect for you, and I'm so excited to see, you know, your footy career and what happens after footy, because you're going to be learning and you're going to be passing the knowledge down. Learning. So Brookie, no, thank you so much. I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
You're the best.
You're the best. Yeah.